Have you ever heard the one about the emperor who tried to tax sunlight? It sounds like a joke, right? But what if I told you that some rulers have come up with tax ideas that were almost as outrageous? Today, we're diving into the wild world of historical taxes, exploring everything from taxing windows to, yes, even taxing pee. We'll uncover why these strange taxes came to be, who they really affected, and how one Roman emperor's bizarre idea left a mark on language itself. Get ready, because history is about to get a whole lot weirder and a lot more expensive. Let's travel back to ancient Rome, a powerhouse of engineering, military might, and creative accounting. Meet Emperor Vespasian. He came to power in 69 AD, after a chaotic period known as the Year of the Four Emperors. Rome's treasury was completely empty, drained by his predecessor Nero's extravagant spending and the ensuing civil war. Vespasian had a massive problem. He needed money, and he needed it fast. He had to pay the legions, rebuild the city, and fund public works like the soon-to-be-famous Colosseum. So Vespasian and his advisors put their heads together and started reintroducing old taxes and inventing new ones. And one of his most infamous ideas was the vectigal urinae, or the urine tax. Now you might be thinking, why on earth would anyone tax urine? Well, in ancient Rome, pee was surprisingly valuable. It was a key ingredient in several industrial processes. Tanners used the ammonia in urine to soften leather and remove hair from animal hides. Laundries, known as phalonicas, used it as a powerful cleaning agent to bleach and wash togas. It was basically Rome's version of industrial-strength detergent. Public urinals, often just large pots placed on street corners, collected this liquid gold. Entrepreneurs would then buy the collected urine from the state to sell to these industries. Vespasian saw this and thought, why should the collectors get all the profit? The state should get a cut. So he slapped a tax on the collection and sale of urine from public latrines. As you can imagine, this was not a popular move. Even Vespasian's own son Titus was embarrassed by it. He confronted his father, saying it was disgusting to raise money from such a foul source. In response, Vespasian did something legendary. He held a gold coin under his son's nose and asked him if it smelled bad. When Titus said no, Vespasian replied, "Pecunia non olet," which translates to "money does not stink." This phrase has survived for 2 millennia, becoming a timeless proverb for the idea that the value of money is separate from its origin. It's a classic example of pragmatism over pride. Vespasian didn't care where the money came from, as long as it refilled Rome's coffers and stabilized the empire. And you know what? It worked. This tax, along with many others, helped him restore Rome's finances and fund the construction of the Colosseum. But strange taxes weren't just a Roman thing. Let's fast forward a few centuries to France under the reign of Louis XIV, the Sun King. His nickname wasn't about taxing the sun, but it might as well have been, considering how his financial policies cast a dark shadow over his people. Louis XIV was known for his lavish lifestyle and ambitious projects, most famously the magnificent Palace of Versailles. All that gold leaf and those sprawling gardens didn't come cheap. Add to that a series of costly wars, and France was in constant need of cash. The French tax system at the time was deeply unfair. The burden fell almost entirely on the commoners, the so-called Third Estate. The nobility and the clergy, who owned most of the land and wealth, were largely exempt from direct taxes like the taille, a tax on land and property. Instead, the government relied on a web of indirect taxes on everyday goods, like the gabelle, a notoriously hated tax on salt. Salt was a vital preservative, so everyone needed it, making this tax impossible to avoid. Corruption was also rampant. The system of tax farming, where private collectors bought the right to collect taxes, led to brutal extortion. These tax farmers would pay the state a lump sum and then squeeze as much as they could from the populace, pocketing the difference. This financial mismanagement and crushing tax burden created widespread resentment that would eventually boil over into the French Revolution decades later. This brings us to another bizarre tax that directly impacted people's homes, the window tax. First introduced in England in 1696, it was considered a brilliant idea at the time. The logic was simple. The wealthier you were, the bigger your house, and the more windows you had. So it was seen as a progressive tax on property, but without the need for nosy tax assessors to actually enter people's homes to determine their income. They could just count the windows from the outside. The tax started with a flat rate per house, and then added an extra charge for every window over a certain number. However, the consequences were grim and completely unintended. Instead of paying up, many people, especially the poor and the middle class, chose a simpler solution. They bricked up their windows. You can still see buildings in the UK today with bricked-over window openings, a ghostly reminder of this era. This had a severe impact on public health. Homes became dark, damp, and poorly ventilated, creating perfect breeding grounds for diseases like cholera and typhus. It was literally a tax on light and air. Doctors and social reformers protested for years, arguing that the tax was causing immense suffering. Despite the clear negative effects, the window tax proved so lucrative for the government that it remained in place for over 150 years, finally being repealed in 1851. It serves as a powerful lesson in how a seemingly clever policy can have disastrous real-world consequences. From taxing urine to bricking up windows, history is full of rulers getting creative to fund their ambitions. These examples show us that the struggle between governments needing revenue and citizens trying to keep their hard-earned money is nothing new. While the idea of taxing the sun remains a fable, the reality of what has been taxed is often just as unbelievable. Vespasian's urine tax stabilized an empire while France's unfair system fueled a revolution. It just goes to show that when it comes to taxes, sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction. What's the craziest tax you've ever heard of? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey through history's weirdest financial policies. If you enjoyed this video and want to uncover more strange but true stories from the past, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. Until next time, stay curious.